How's it going, guys? Jeff here with Spraywell. Today we're going to talk about pressure washer accessories, and there's a couple things here we want to go over, maybe a couple quick tips, as well as just the common things you're going to look at whenever you're getting into this and putting together your first pressure washing configuration. So we'll go ahead and start this off with pressure washer hose. Pretty simple concept, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. This is a single braided wire hose, and the reason that we use single wire braided is because it's a good balance between flexibility and durability. Double braided hoses, they're a little bit stiff. You also want to make sure you get a non-marking hose, and what that means is that the hose is not going to leave streaks across whatever surface it is that the hose is being drug across, whether that's a driveway or if it ends up going over some pavers or decking. This hose is going to ensure that you don't leave behind some type of residue or ink that's residual from the waters and chemicals interacting with the hose. Another thing to keep in mind is that you have either a 50 or 100 foot or a 200 foot hose, and you just want to make sure that this hose is going to be good for your needs. So think about where you're going to be unwinding this hose and how far you need to go, whether that's onto a driveway from your truck out in the road, or whether that's all the way around back or onto a roof or wherever it is. And just kind of gear your setup towards the type of jobs that you think you're going to be marketing towards. Another thing to keep in mind is to make sure that you get a hose that's going to fit on your hose reel. So whenever you purchase a hose reel, they usually come in 50, 100, and 200 foot options. Make sure that you get a hose reel that's going to fit with your hose. And it's just one more thing to keep in mind, just to make sure you don't run into a stupid little headache. Moving on, we've got your pressure washer gun. The pressure washer gun and lance, these come in all different types of lengths, and there's even guns that don't come with a trigger. We don't recommend those, but this comes with a locking mechanism on it to ensure that your trigger doesn't get pulled unwanted, and it's going to allow you to quickly adjust depending on the type of job that you need. The way you're going to adjust using your gun is by switching out the tip. The 0 degree tip is not going to be used that often. This tip, you're going to get the highest PSI with this tip. So tips actually affect the PSI. The 0 degree tip, if you're running a 3,000 or 4,000 PSI system, you're going to get just about that max PSI with this tip. So you really only want to reserve this for special cases when you have a very stubborn stain or maybe tar that you need to just rip up off the concrete. And even then, you want to be careful with concrete because this can actually etch concrete depending on the power of your system. So be wary of the red tip. It is a good tip to have in your toolbox. You may need it. You probably will need it in some cases. Just make sure you're careful with it. The yellow tip, it's also one that you want to be careful with. It's a 15-degree spray pattern. Not as harsh as the red tip. Still possible to damage surfaces, especially maybe mortar and things like that. You don't really want to use this tip on wood unless you're just careful with the distance that you're keeping from the wood. This tip is good for a lot of concrete use cases and tough stains where the red tip is just overkill. Green tip, probably going to be your most popular or just widely used. It's 25-degree fan pattern. It's going to be ideal and just sufficient for most use cases. Whenever you're going on to a job and you just need to wash up some stains, start with the green tip, and if things are either too light or too harsh for this tip to cover, just adjust from there. White tip, same can be said. You're going to go the opposite direction. If your green tip is just overkill, you can go ahead and opt for the 40-degree white tip. This is great for a lot of surfaces as well, especially whenever you're just looking to get yourself a wash down or like kind of a hard rinse. White tip is great. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the soap nozzle. The soap nozzle is going to be used in conjunction with the chemical injector. This is your chemical injector. This is going to drop into a chemical tank or bucket, and it's going to feed chemicals into your pressure washer on the backside of your pump. That way it doesn't run through your pump and damage the internals of your pump. So as the water filters through there, a siphon effect occurs. It's going to filter a soap mixture into your water and allow you to use this tip to basically soak surfaces with some type of soap, usually bleach, maybe mixed with some type of surfactant. The surfactant is going to allow you to increase dwell time, maybe introduce a pleasant smell. A lot of customers aren't crazy about the smell of raw bleach all over their house, so consider that. Just a quick tip. A lot of times, a ball valve can go a long way. A popular one is the DN10 or this MPV ball valve. And what this allows you to do is to hot swap between components. So if you're wanting to maybe start your job off by getting up some heavy stains with your pressure washer wand, and you want to switch over to the surface cleaner to do the bulk of the job. We're going to talk about the surface cleaner in a second, but whenever you need to clean a large surface, you're not going to use the wand for the whole surface, especially a concrete surface. You're going to want to do that more efficiently, and to do that, you switch over to a surface cleaner. A lot of times when you're switching back and forth between these accessories, you don't want to have to turn off the pressure washer to switch components. This allows you to leave the pressure washer on, cut your water off, unplug whatever it is that you're using, and then plug in your other accessory, cut your water back on, continue working. And the surface cleaner, this is going to be pretty much the bread and butter of your setup. Whenever you get onto a job, you're almost always going to need to clean a large concrete surface. Most common is the driveway. Pool decks is another one. And you don't want to be walking that entire surface with a pressure washer wand trying to clean it. You might want to use your wand to clean the edges. That's a technique a lot of people use, because whenever the closer this thing gets over onto the edge, the more you can get some blowout into the dirt and gravel or whatever else is on the side. This kind of allows you to get a controlled cleaning of the edges of the surface. Then you move on to your surface cleaner to clean the bulk of the surface. We have some videos on that. We'll maybe link those in the description of this video that kind of explains and shows how that process goes down. But the surface cleaner is definitely a huge part of your configuration. It's essentially a necessary part of the budget to think about whenever you're putting together your first purchase. When you're thinking about the size of the surface cleaner, keep in mind that 1 GPM is going to get you about 4 inches of cleaning power. So this, being a 16-inch surface cleaner, is ideal for a 4 GPM system. Some guys might push a 4 GPM up to a 19-inch surface cleaner. It works. It's not quite to specs, but it'll get the job done. So just keep in mind that that's your rough formula for calculating how large your surface cleaner needs to be. The surface cleaner is going to be either a 2-tip or a 4-tip configuration, and the nozzles that come with it are usually going to be sufficient. These nozzles are 2502. What that means is 25 degrees at 2 GPM. So you've got two 25-degree nozzles, 2 GPM apiece. That gives you your 4 GPM. So this system, as you can see, is configured perfectly for a 4 GPM pressure washer. As you're shopping around, you're going to see BE and Whisper Wash a lot. Those are two very common brands for good reason. They're really good quality. They have very good aftermarket part support. That's a big thing to keep in mind. If your swivel goes bad, the swivel is the part that allows your bar to spin and evenly spray water. This is your swivel cartridge. Inside is the actual swivel. Whisper Wash has this great hot swap system where you can quickly change out a cartridge. This is a great thing to have. These are always available, and it's a very common part to go bad whenever you're doing this for a living and you're putting a lot of hours on this unit. So you may pay a little bit more of a premium for a good brand name surface cleaner, but in the long run, it's going to save you time. Time is money, and that's the name of the game. So hopefully this helped you out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. You can always give us a call here at Spraywell, 561-964-3228. We have customer service always on deck. We answer the phone, and appreciate you watching this video.